Hi everyone, welcome back to plot 7A, where everything's growing pretty well, especially the weeds. I thought it was about time for another little update. It's the 14th of June today, and I've just been strimming and weeding and doing as much as possible just to tidy up my plot a little bit, because it was looking very overgrown and in need of a lot of love and attention, purely because I haven't actually had much time to get down here lately, so everything was looking a bit messy and in need of some love. But it's got far too hot now, so I'm having a little break from the weeding and the strimming and everything, and I thought I'd do a little video update. So let me show you around. Okay, the first bed here is the one with my elephant garlic and my stock plants in. The stock plants are now going to seed by the look of it, so I'll probably try and harvest some of them and keep hold of the seed for next year. The elephant garlic is doing well. I pulled up one the other day actually, and it was really good. And in another sort of week or so, I expect I will be pulling up the rest of these. They're really nicely in the ground, still really firm. The leaves are just starting to die back a little now and turn yellow, and which means they are pretty well near ready to harvest. I'm looking forward to seeing what the rest of them are like. I say the one that I pulled up the other day was really good. It was kind of, you know, tennis ball size, perhaps a little bit bigger than tennis ball size, which is great because I think it's pretty much the only kind of garlic I'm going to get this year, which brings me over to this bed. From my last video, as I said, I think the garlic had rot in the soil. I did leave it in the end, and I pulled up a couple of bulbs last week. Well, actually I pulled up about 4 or 5 bulbs. 3 of them were completely useless. They'd completely rotten and were just good for the bin really. But the other 2 were, you know, they were okay. They were small, and the cloves were tiny, but they were usable, and I've already eaten them and they had a fantastic flavour. So I'm hoping out of this bed here I'll maybe get 20% of them is usable, which, considering I thought I was going to lose all of them, I'll take 20%. But as I wasn't happy with the garlic, I have just left the bed to do whatever, so it's full of weeds and grass and that, and when I pull the garlic out, I say in a week or 2, I'll give the bed a good turnover and then use it for something else. Down to here, again, it's the second lot of garlic. This lot doesn't seem to have been as badly affected by the rot in the soil. They seem okay. They're still not great, but I've got much higher hopes for this lot here than for the other lot. So I'm crossing my fingers. It has got rust, as you can tell, looking down there, so the bulbs won't be huge, but I think actually underneath the soil it's not as bad as that other bed, so crossing my fingers on them. These here are the onions that I planted from seed. They're doing very well now, as you can see. They're starting to bulb up nicely, looking nice and healthy, and no sign of them having any of the rust or diseases in the soil that the garlics had, so that's good, because I was wondering, if being that close, if these onions were going to start to get rust as well. But so far so good. And then over to this bed, one of my messy beds that I haven't had a chance to weed yet. I've got red onions growing down here. These were grown from sets, and a couple of them have thrown up flower stalks, which I have pinched off, because if they do send up the flower stalks, you want to pinch them off as soon as possible, because otherwise they won't grow anymore, and they'll go to seed, and then the onion will stop growing. So you want to get rid of the flower stalks if you see any, but there's no more there today. And again down there you can see they're doing quite nicely. My spinach, which I've been eating so much of and loving it, is just starting to bolt now because the weather's got hot, so I'll probably harvest one final lot out of this, and then I'll have to oh, there's my shadow. And then I'll have to pull it up, I think, and plant something else there, which is a shame, because spinach is one of my favourite things to grow and eat, so it's always a shame when it starts to bolt. I've been watering it as much as possible, but I think it's near the end of its life now. Down here I've got my first lot of carrots and onions. These are the sweet candle carrots. which are stump rooted, and they're growing next to my snowball onions, which I think, looking at them, are probably the best onions I've got so far this year. They're definitely the furthest ahead in terms of growth, and they look fantastic. I planted the carrots and onions together here in the hope of deterring carrot fly and onion fly, because the onion fly don't like the carrots and the carrot fly don't like the onions, so they're perfect for a companion planting together, onions and carrots. Down to here I've got my tomatoes, and they should be they're indeterminate trailing bush tomatoes, so I'm hoping that they're going to trail over the edge of this planter and look and grow some that way, look pretty. And you know, they haven't started trailing or doing anything yet. I must admit, I never have much success with tomatoes. They're planted about 10 to 12 inches apart from each other, and I'm hoping, because they are small varieties, that they'll be okay. And I've popped some marigolds in between them just to try and deter any pests, and also for a little bit of colour. Right, down to this bed I've got my courgettes here. I've got 3 different varieties this year, and they're all doing well. This one here has already got so many courgettes on it, but I am a little bit worried that these couple here are going to rot. And the reason for that is I had so many flowers, and I came down here hoping to pollinate them, because I know the bees can pollinate them, but sometimes I like to do a little bit of hand pollination just to be sure. But every single flower that I had was female. I had no male flowers at all. And this one here is a male, and it's the first male flower I've had off this plant. So I'm thinking that the first couple I planted may not have been able to be, the first couple that came up like this may not have been able to be pollinated, in which case they will rot away, which would be a shame, but there was nothing I could do about that. I didn't have any male flowers to utilise. And my last little courgette there, he was sown the same time as the other 2, but he's obviously had a setback of some kind. I think he was getting eaten when he first went in, and he just wasn't doing so well. But he's springing back to life now, and hopefully in a couple of weeks he'll be doing well too. In the centre here I've got spaghetti squash, which I grew last year. Not a lot to say about that. Again, it's doing well. Happy with that. And right at the back here I've got my cheeky curry, which I think is how it's pronounced. Onion squash is another name for it. And if you look down there, he's just got his first little fruit there. I'm probably going to leave this to trail. I could tie him up to save on space, but I'm probably going to leave him to trail. And that one there is another one, exactly the same. Over here I've got 2 tomatillo plants. I'm growing these because I love sort of Mexican food and salsas and things like that, and I'm hoping to get some tomatillos off of these 2 plants here to be able to make my own salsas. This one I've had from a tiny little plug plant, and this one here I did buy at the garden centre the other day, I must admit. The reason being is that you need 2 tomatillo plants to be able to have successful pollination, and I only had that one. The other one I had died, so I had to buy another one. My only worry here is that they're at such different stages. This one is obviously smaller, and this one's already starting to flower, so I'm a little unsure as to how that's going to work with pollination, but we'll find out. Over here to this bed, got my bologna beans there, doing nicely, and some Swiss chard just growing up here. And then I sowed a quick little catch crop of radishes here, because I want to use this area here for something else pretty soon, but I thought I'd get some radishes in and just grow something while I had the chance. If I can get down there in amongst the leaves, they're doing very well. Oh, I'll be able to pull out them and eat them, well, pretty much any time now really. I'm not going to pull any out right now because I don't need any tonight, but in the next couple of days I think I'll have some of them. Over to here I've got my runner beans, sown from the seeds that I collected from last year's runner beans that I grew. So I'm very happy that they're doing nicely. Starting to climb up the poles now. And I've got my Tom Thumb lettuces, which again are ready to come out, but we don't need any lettuce at home at the minute and there's nobody I can give it to, so just got the lettuce ready for when I need it. The pak choi got completely eaten by slugs, so I'm going to sow some more. And the mustard leaves at the end were there. I've pulled them all up now because they were starting to go to seed and flower, so I'll probably plant some more in there. Put a few more little marigolds down there next to the cucumbers, just again to try and keep away some pests. And again to put in some colour. The cucumbers are finally growing nicely. Those of you that have seen my other videos, I know I've had terrible trouble with trying to get cucumbers to grow this year. But I finally seem to have done it by planting them direct in the ground rather than transplanting. So they are a little behind, but I'm hoping they'll catch up. Things normally do, and it's still only sort of mid-June. The potato bed are starting to flower now. Got these beautiful sort of almost blue flowers this year, which is lovely. And it won't be long till they're getting dug up. Over to the strawberry bed. The strawberries are coming out now. This is the first year they've been in, and you should really pick off the flowers so they don't flower in the first year, and then in subsequent years you'll get better crops. But I couldn't bring myself to do it, so I left them. And they have been fruiting. I've got one just down there, a couple more down there. I mean, to be honest, I think the slugs and bugs have been enjoying more of them than I have. But I've managed to get a couple off to actually eat myself so far, and they've been delicious. So nice having homegrown strawberries as opposed to the supermarket varieties. Right, over to here. It's my Chilean watermelon tunnel. And actually today I've taken some of the chilies out because it was so hot. I've got the cover open, but it's so hot that they're actually starting to wilt. And they've had a good water. But I've taken them out just to try and cool them down a bit. It seems daft, doesn't it, cooling down chilli plants, but yeah, I don't want them to die. I mean, I don't think they will. I'm sure that with the water and a little bit cooler, they'll bounce back. We've already got a lovely chilli there. I believe that one's Hungarian hot wax. But yeah, we've got sort of 3 fruit on him and loads of flowers on the others too, of the other plants. And then I've got my watermelons, which I'm pretty pleased with how they're doing actually. People say you can either tie them up or you can leave them to trail. And I wasn't quite sure what was going to be best, so I've done one of each, or well, sorry, 2 trailing and 1 that I've tied up. Obviously the ones that are tied up, it's good because they're away from the ground, so they're not going to be targeted by slugs and things that crawl along the ground, but they are going to need to be supported well, and when the fruits start to grow, fingers crossed, the fruit will need to be supported as well, otherwise it'll be too heavy for the plant. But yeah, I've got a little fruit just there. Oh, I can't see it very well. Another one just here, and on this plant down here I've got a fruit just there. I mean, they're only slightly larger than a pea at the moment, but again, it is mid-June, so I've got another sort of 2-3 months worth of growing to go yet, so I've got hopes that I will get hopefully some watermelons, albeit small ones, but hopefully some small watermelons out of them, which would be fantastic. The raspberries, again, not a lot to say about them. My early ones are already fruiting. Again, it's difficult to see, sorry, with this sun reflecting, but yeah, I'm getting plenty out of them already. Or again, should I say the birds are getting plenty out of these. These should have been netted, but I decided just to let them go as they are. A little bee down there, doing his little job. Yeah, so again, happy with the raspberries. The ones I've been able to have myself have been great. There we go. There's that bee. Nice, I love seeing the bees out doing their thing. It's lovely. Over to here, more onions. Smells of onion here at the minute because I accidentally trimmed a couple of them, which isn't great. But the onions as a whole are doing well. None of these have sent up flower stalks or anything, so should all be good. And down here, spring onions, which are coming up nicely now. The second lot I sowed, they are. The first ones didn't come up. The second ones are doing great. And I've also tied all my sweet peas to the arch, and I've actually got my first sweet pea flower. The one and only. Hopefully a few more will come out soon and join him. I did hope that the sweet peas were going to be a little bit taller than this. I mean, they're only about 2 foot at the moment, and I was hoping for sort of 4 or 5 foot, which is why I sowed them in February, but hopefully they'll grow a little bit higher, and if not, if they flower at that level, it's still going to be a pretty little sort of border for the arch. Down to here, getting cornflower in this bed, gladioli and some herbs. Bit of a messy bed, haven't had a chance to sort this one out yet, but again, the cornflowers are just getting to that stage where they're going to be flowering soon. Over to here, my cucamelons, which I thought were dying, but looking closer there is actually new growth coming up on them. So I'm hoping that they will do okay. I think I remember last year actually they didn't look very good when I first put them in, and then they kind of bounced into life. So I'm hoping they'll do the same. Over to the carrots, the extra long carrots. They're still doing well. The trouble I'm having at the minute is they're coming up above the soil level, which is leading to slightly green tips, which I don't want. I've been trying to heap up the compost around them, but it's not working too well. What I want is a little plastic ring to put over each one next time, I think, so I can top it up with compost to keep it completely underground so there's no green. But that'll be something for next year, because I'm not going to try and do it this year. Over here, a bed of quinoa. I have established now that this is the quinoa. I'll get in there and weed this in a while, now that I know what is quinoa and what isn't. And we'll see how that goes. And lastly, my pond, which is, well, it's got water in it now. It's I've just trimmed, so it does need to have that grass scooped out of it, which I will do. I'll get my net in a minute and scoop that grass out. But I'm trying to edge it all with these stones, but I need to get a few more stones, and larger stones as well I quite like. I have got a plant in there now. It's meant to be a little lily, but it's not doing a lot. And I've also got some oxygenating plants in there as well, floating under the surface somewhere. So yeah, the pond does need a tidy up. The edge does need to be completely finished, but I'm just glad that I've actually got it built and the water in it now. And then I'll add a few more plants, and saw some dragonflies around it this morning already, which was great. But yeah, I definitely need to tidy it up a little bit, make it look a little bit prettier as well. And I think that's about everything for today. I better get back to my weeding and my watering. But I hope you've enjoyed my update, and I will see you again next time. Thanks guys, bye.